The arrival shuttle docks with the station and I disembark, heading for virology. I get to the lab, suit up, and start working on what I hope will eventually become a virus of healing. Using the supplies in the lab, I get tox filter isolated, but then run out of the material that I use to mutate the virus, plasma. I go to cargo to check on getting more plasma from the ore redemption machine. Waiting my turn, some science guy nabs a ton of everything, leaving no plasma for me. I wait a bit, hoping another miner is just behind to deliver their ore, but eventually I decide to wait in my office. Passing through medbay, I see the chemist has some plasma. I ask for it and they hand it over. It's not a ton, but it's better than nothing. I grind it up and get to work. I modify the virus again, getting the lucky mutation of mind restoration. Having run completely out of plasma, I grab the unstable mutagen from the storage and intend on making mutations with that. Just then, the station's psychologist stops by outside the window, saying, "Hey buddy." I greet them. They offer me their services, letting me know their office is right around the corner. I thank them and let my eyes drift back to the beaker in front of me. After an awkward pause, I realize they're still there, and they reassure me that it's okay I killed the monkeys. Internally, I question whether my brain won't accept the truth of my actions, and is simply imagining the monkeys I see as currently playing in the other room. Or perhaps the psychologists themselves is a hallucination manifested by part of my unconscious in the hopes that the larger organism it's silently chained to will seek help for the chronic do-or-die mentality and the unhealthy dedication to an insatiable, uncaring employer. Either way, I play it cool, noting that I wouldn't feel bad if I had to kill everyone on board, including the therapists themselves, to accomplish my goals, but that I appreciate their support. They assure me the company will no doubt promote me for my mentality. They leave, and I must admit, I feel a renewed sense of conviction. That therapist is really good at their job. I return to my work, but having run out of materials yet again, I venture to cargo, who still has no plasma. While I'm waiting, I decide to kit out my tools. I make my way to the tool storage, grabbing a screwdriver, wire cutters, crowbar, some wire, and a wrench. Figuring I'm going to need some cooperation from chemistry, I should give them a gift, or have something to aim at them if they don't cooperate. They accept and I bolt it down. Getting back to cargo, there are still no materials from the miners. I disassemble some of their chairs in protest. They're probably all dead, the lazy bastards. Returning to the lab, I see the monkeys are getting fidgety and lock them down. Being completely out of materials to do my work, I go to chemistry to call in that favor. I ask for unstable mutagen. They ask me to get something to hold it in. I make the quick trip back to the lab to get some beakers, which I put in the chem storage unit for them. They give me a bucket of unstable mutagen, which fills up a few beakers. I return the bucket. I get back to virology just in time to see someone checking in on my status. I preemptively tell them I'm working on stuff and that progress is good. They seem satisfied and run off. Good. Having tox filter and mind restoration, I continue to try for some more good symptoms. I get antibodies metabolism. Not a huge deal, but I keep it, synthesizing more to work from it as a base. I get an alert that new minerals are available. Still needing some of the plasma dust symptoms, I race to cargo. There's one plasma. Either someone beat me to it, or the miner brought in a trivial amount. I take the opportunity to grab some food from the canteen. Some delicious apple pie for lunch. I compliment the chef. At least someone else is doing their job. I return to the office with my one plasma, grinding it up. Using it yields nothing. I check the ore redemption machine one more time. No change. I ask the cargo tech if they have any miners left. They confirm the miners are still alive. If this is good, then I'd hate to see bad. On my way past chemistry, the tech sneezes. I ask if they're sick. They confirm it's withdrawal. That's definitely their department. I'm just glad it's not my responsibility. I return to work and consider just running with this virus. Admittedly, it's imperfect of what it could be, but then again, who isn't? Checking the alerts, I see the plasma's been delivered. It's about time. I get to cargo and collect, exclaiming my enthusiasm of the miner who's doing their job. I get back to virology, grinding up the plasma, and use the dust to get working. One of the doctors stops outside the window, mentioning that they have a syringe of antibodies and requests that I make a lot of vaccine or it'll kill us all quick. Entering it into the machine, I see it's the antibodies for brain rot. Sounds rough. I synthesize a couple of bottles and take them to the doctor. I get back to working on my masterpiece. Still stuck on toxic filter, mind restoration, sensory restoration, and antibodies metabolism, I try for some self-respiration when I notice that the air in the lab seems thinner than usual, and the vents seem to be drawing in rather than blowing out. I turn on my internal oxygen and report the issue over the radio. Xenobiology reports they're encountering the same problem. I figure I'll get some more unstable mutagen, requesting it from chemistry. They give me another bucket, which I empty into some beakers before noticing I'm suffering from being in a complete vacuum. While I'm getting enough oxygen, my suit wasn't designed to protect against this. Suffering from the effects of being exposed to vacuum, I take the bucket back and let the medbot heal me. I get back to the virology hall and report the issue of no air over the radio again. Wandering back up to the front of medbay, I notice the similar situation in chemistry, reporting that over the radio. The chemist seems to be working through it, though. I can tell from my HUD their health is deteriorating. Also, they keep collapsing. A doctor rushes in, drags them out, and administers aid. I stop off to get food. Some more apple pie. I compliment the chef. Making my way to the bar, which looks extremely barren, one of the patrons asks about food. I direct them to the kitchen. I tell the bartender about my office being in vacuum. Heading to chemistry, I see that the chemist that was suffocating is now going in his lab in small shifts until they're too injured and then coming out to the main medbay to recuperate. I mention that this lack of air situation is beyond incompetent and is sabotage. Figuring I'll see what's up with engineering, I head there, noting it's particularly dark. I let the guy at a terminal know I don't have any air in my lab. He says yeah. I tell him the monkeys are dead by now. I hope he feels guilty. He runs off. I return to medbay, figuring I'll rifle through the supply closet for something to do. A meteor alert comes over the speakers, with people lamenting the added issue on top of certain departments lacking air. I note that a meteor isn't catastrophic when we're already dealing with being in a vacuum. I return to the lab, checking the air alarm, noting it's still not safe, though maybe improving. The vents don't appear to be set to pull loose items towards them anymore, though we still are in vacuum. Making my way out of medbay, someone throws a lube grenade, sending me and several others slipping down to the ground. They begin tearing up the floor to avoid the issue. The station's really not having a good time. As I'm watching the fire door collapse down, it crushes me. It opens back up and I leave its jaws. I help to tear up the lubed floor. Slipping near the chemistry window sends my fallen crowbar into a vent. I get to dormitories where it would seem we have spiders. The thick webbing winds its way through the pool. Spiderlings skitter across the floor, to which I bash them with my crowbar. As I'm leaving, there's a spider breaking through the door of dormitories. There's another one near the security hall, which me and another crew member beat to death. Another spider hides in the showers. Me and the other crew member pointed out to an oblivious person passing by, causing the spider to spring from the shadows. We beat it to death. After wandering the halls a bit, I get to the kitchen, where despite the lacking atmosphere, the chef maintains a variety of buffet on offer. Walking past Botany, I notice several people attacking a surprise herd of monkeys. I'm not really sure why, but I figure it's yet another threat to the station and join in. The crew transfer shuttle docks and I board, taking up residence in the medical cabin. I unload my pockets of medical supplies in the hopes that they'll help should someone get, a paper cut. With that, an explosion rips through the main cabin, knocking out the medical doors and most of the rear wall, which I happen to be standing next to. I'm downed by the explosion. We're damned to lack atmosphere. In this case, understandable considering the massive gaping hole in the shuttle. I rummage through medical supplies for epinephrine to stave off some of the damage in the hopes I can last long enough. I use a brute damage auto mender as the shuttle nears port. I just make it. The shuttle docks. The end of a long, interesting shift.